Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here doing a video today. My second video of the night. And this one is about the controversy with regards to the whole Marilyn Manson accusations. And I think I did a video about this last year, and I'm not sure because I couldn't find it on my channel. I looked for it, but I don't know what happened to it exactly. So I just wanted to give like a kind of an updated view on what's going on with that and what I think, how I see this whole thing. So for one, this whole media spotlight on this has talked about, has brought up terms like grooming and all these different things. Or she was a teenager, she was like 18 or 19 or whatever, and they were together for a long time, and they broke up and they got back together. I don't know the whole background of it. I've listened to some stuff from controversially from the Umbrella guy and from Colonel Kurtz's channel, so I don't know much about it, to be honest. Now, the first thing I thought was looking at the allegations and looking at the way that it was discussed. I found like where there, the old adage, where there's smoke, there's fire. That's what I thought. And I'm like, well, it seems like there's multiple accusers, and the gothic rock scene, whatever you want to call Marilyn Manson part of. I don't consider his music really gothic rock, but it's definitely associated or adjacent, like the young people like to use that word nowadays, including my ex-girlfriend. But anyways, the adjacentness to gothic rock is pretty clear. They're very into S&M kind of relationships, bondage, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, it sounds like he took it a little too far. It's kind of like it went a little crazy or something like that. Just some of the stuff I read, and so I believed it because it kind of I associated with that, and kind of like thought, well, what is this guy had alcohol and drug and temper problems with his stage act or whatever. He's been sued multiple times and all this stuff. And I was like, it's not like Johnny Depp where he's just like, he's not exactly clean cut, but all the damage he's done is to himself, over the years, and his ex-wives and his ex-girlfriends are all, give him a clean bill of, their relation. I mean, they basically, cleared him in a lot of ways, like, because, even had Kate Moss come on the stand or through video, but whatever. So Marilyn Manson, I was suspect about. I was sauce. I'm just making fun of all the millennial Z words that I like to make fun of. So, I was very suspect of Marilyn Manson, considering that I really didn't know what to think about the situation, but it just seemed more in Evan Rachel Wood. Let's just face it, she is a better actor. She's better at acting than Amber Heard in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't like to make past value judgments like that sometimes, but Amber Heard was pretty good in the Ward, and I really liked her in All the Boys Love Mandy Rose too. That was a really good movie for like a thriller that she was in. So I think there's certain roles that she should gravitate towards and hone her craft a little better. And that's mainly horror movies and thrillers where she plays a crazy woman and stuff. But it's the truth. It was good. Both those movies, her roles in those movies were a lot better than some of the other roles I've seen her in. I've only seen her in like 3 or 4 movies though, so I can't really judge that much. But from what I've seen of Evan Rachel Wood and just know about her, I know that she's better at acting to some extent. So, or it just seems more convincing. So even with this whole accusation, she seemed more convincing. But then we come out and come to find that there might have been some tampering by her and her friends, and they pulled all this, like, they faked evidence, or the FBI, they impersonated an FBI agent or something like that. It's like, And we're looking at all this stuff and like, okay, well, there might be more to the story than we know. And then there's all these people that come out and said, oh, Marilyn Manson's not like that. Now, I believed it more because, and maybe it is because he's more edgy in a certain way. Like, as bad as that sounds, because I'm a big time edgelord metalhead dude, who listens to Gigi Allen and, I'm not that much nowadays, but, I've listened to like Gigi Allen and, worshipped Anton LaVey, and I have a lot of weird interests and beliefs and things that go on in my brain. So, I'm probably just a softie at heart, though. But anyways, so here, it's like I'm judging Marilyn Manson by his words of his music. It's not necessarily like that, but more so like his controversies that aren't related to his music, his like arrests or his lawsuits. That's kind of what it was. If he was just squeaky clean and just was like Alice Cooper, where he had an alcohol problem and then went clean, but he was still doing like the guillotine thing on stage or whatever, that'd be one thing. But it's not like that. Like, we know that Marilyn Manson had some problematic things he's done. So, believing Evan Rachel Wood was pretty wasn't as much of a stretch as the Johnny Depp thing. So that said, you can always, Bill Cosby was squeaky clean for most people, and look what happened to him. So like you don't know, it could go one way or the other. So hearing about these new accusations against Evan Rachel Wood and and I'm tying it in with this because it really bothers me that people don't really understand that teenagers are fucking crazy, okay? Growing up, and this is part of the reason why I talk about this stuff so much, because I grew up a very sheltered, naive kid. I was very sheltered, and I was very, like, vulnerable to all the stuff around me that was happening. I was quite shocked by a lot of it. And this is why probably I have this view about some of this stuff. Is not because I want to like, oh my God, I want to date all these 19-year-olds, No, it has nothing to do with that. But I will say that I've seen so much shit that these kids chose to do in their lives. And they had a lot of agency. For example, drugs, Growing up, I went to this alternative high school. Everybody was smoking pot every day at lunch in their cars, or going off on their own, or going off, off school property. They were all doing, all sorts of, they were doing probably some, inhalants, some of those people. Some of them became heroin addicts or already tripped acid for days at a time, some of them. All these kids did all this stuff, right? So I'm like thinking, well, obviously an adult had to provide that to them, maybe not. But culpability, were they culpable for making these choices? Absolutely, at least to some extent. So don't give me this excuse that, oh my God, there's just poor defenseless kids that are getting into drugs. Oh, look, these people around me were doing very adult things at a very unadult age to some extent, not a super unadult age. And that's just the drugs, okay? Like this guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but he used to say, like, I wish I was a drug sniffing dog so I could get free weed. And then one time, I like telling these stories. One time he's like, I haven't been drunk driving in a while in the countryside. I'm like, oh my God, this is really fucked up shit. This guy's 17 years old. He's talking about like how he likes to go drunk driving. And did I believe he was exaggerating? Maybe he was exaggerating a little bit. I don't know. But I was like, holy shit, this is just so dark and weird. Like, I felt really like nauseous and really like freaked out by this kind of stuff. And there was people getting pregnant and stuff too. And there was kids that were like, this raver girl that one of my former, well, whatever you want to call him, one of my friends, one of my old roommates really liked for a while. And there was this other guy that I knew. He's like, he kept asking her to have sex in the bathroom. And this is in high school. He was like, oh, you want to have some fun for 5 minutes? She's like, no, thank you. And then I think he did something else to someone else. I don't know if it was in school, but it was just like this kind of stuff was just like commonplace. I heard all this shit, this crazy kind of stuff that just like challenges your virgin mind at age 16 or 17. These people were making these choices and doing this shit. It wasn't like someone was forcing them to do it and they didn't have any discretion on their own. Because there was kids that didn't do that shit. They didn't want to do that shit too. So that's the whole problem I have, is because actually I didn't finish, because there were girls that I knew through friends, or they were kind of sort of loosely affiliated friends and stuff, that were 16, 17 years old, 15, whatever. Actually, I didn't know any 15-year-olds at that point, but they were like 16, 17 years old. They were messing, they were their boyfriend was 27 or 28, and these guys, these guys, I met some of these guys, or I don't think I met, did I meet any of them? There was one guy in a band that I know of. I'm not going to say what band, because it's a local band that's like a legendary band. I'm not going to fucking say their name, because I don't want to get this guy in trouble, but one of my ex-girlfriends, the first girl I dated, she wasn't really a girlfriend, but I made out with her in a movie theater, that was my first makeout or whatever. But yeah, I mean, first girl I dated, or tried to date, or whatever you want to call it, was with this guy like when she was like 17 or something, 16 or 17 or whatever. I can't actually remember the time frame, because I think there's just a lot of stuff that happened back then. So, I mean, and then there was this other girl that was doing the same thing, and she like, these college goth dudes and stuff, and just did all this crazy shit, and like, and she knew like this dude that like was into insects or something, like, and she mentioned it in class. She was a real big loudmouth and stuff. She was like bipolar. So I'm like, so when I hear about all this shit, like, it's just like, these people are making, I mean, these kids, they were kids, obviously, but like, they're out of fucking control. There's no like, saying, okay, maybe there's like, okay, there's adult culpability with Marilyn Manson, but just imagine being Marilyn Manson for a second. Like, he's in these situations all the time. There's women that are probably younger than Evan Rachel Wood was throwing themselves at him. And it's like, oh, it's not right. Like, imagine being in that situation all the time, when there's all these groupies, all these goth groupies, these gutter goths and stuff. They're like obsessed with you. Oh, Marilyn Manson, oh my God, God forbid, But anyways, they're obsessed. So they're throwing themselves at you. Where's the moral? Your moral compass will be compromised constantly. How the fuck do you expect to say no to all of them, unless you're some kind of fucking Flanders ass fucking, moral, oh, I'm not gonna take the action with that. I'm just gonna marry a girl 2 years younger, or be with women 2 years younger, and only after the 5th date, and then we probably should be married. But I'm anti-Christian too, because I'm a woke fucking beta piece of shit. Anyways, so it's like, it challenges the mind as far as like how people can think. Like they think that they have this, like, they project this like really like squeaky clean innocent thing on the world, even if they're like not Christian, they're like woke or whatever. Like they think like everybody's innocent, like, except for like this evil patriarchal men that are problematic or whatever, so to speak. Like there's no gray area. It's all black or white. The woman is an infantilized, defenseless, but perfect and beautiful the way they are, even if they're 500 pounds, by the way. Paragon of virtuousness, or virtue. That's what they are. So, no, they're not. I know this growing up. I saw all this shit happen, okay? And the thing is like, I saw all sorts of weird situations, and with these high schoolers, like, I mean, going in high school was these people were fucking nuts. There's people that were kicked out of school for trying to kill a teacher. I mean, They went to this alternative school. I think one of them was actually kicked out. But anyways, there was all sorts of crazy shit. Fights, people fighting, fucking, and doing drugs, you know. That's what life was about in high school for a lot of people. So don't give me this shit about, oh, she was so innocent, she was so young, she was groomed. Who the fuck knows what she was like? And, you know, it's like I can see, like, if I was with an older woman when I was in high school, like I probably would have been very traumatized by it, because I was like really inexperienced and naive, right? So maybe it depends on the situation. We got to look at all these situations differently. But if, like, the girls I was describing, if there was some, like, if they were 19 and then they were with some 35-year-old dude, it's like, well, they've already had like 15 other guys, you know, by that age, and they've probably already like been through all sorts of fucked up situations. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, they're not groomed because they've had enough life experience to not be like some innocent child, is my point. So that's what bothers me about this. Like, the 25-year-old that accused, was it Carrie Fukushima or whatever? It's like 25. It's not like she's 18 or 19. Like, granted, okay, very immature, very, you know, very much still a teenager or you know, kid, whatever. But 25, come on, give me a fucking break. That just, it defies reason and logic to think that a 25-year-old can be groomed. Fuck you. Anybody that says that is insulting people that are actually victims of sexual violence in a certain way. I mean, you could stretch the 18-year-old thing, right? You could say, oh, I bet they stretch pretty well. But okay, that was a bad, sick joke. But anyways, you know, you could stretch that to say, like, okay, maybe they were, you know, they were 18, but they were sort of groomed to be this person or whatever, be with this person or whatever. Okay, I can, you know, the mental gymnastics are there, but it's not like a fucking mental Olympics, you know. But with like a 25-year-old's mental Olympics to say they were fucking groomed, I'm sorry. So, yeah, that's kind of my background, because I've seen a lot of fucking weird shit in my life, like, already with young people, like, just growing up, like, just the weirdest kind of shit. Like, I never could imagine, like, being in these situations. And I wasn't, like, there was another situation too, and I probably shouldn't talk about this on this I was going to say podcast, but this video. But there were some people that I knew of that told me a story. They were, you know, teenagers at the time, by the way. I'm not sure if they were officially adults yet, granted, but so I can't remember. This was like so long ago. So my friend regaled this story to me, where there was this homeless person staying in a park, and these guys thought it would be funny to throw. He was sleeping, obviously, or drunk and sleeping. They threw a huge boulder onto his fucking head, and I didn't hear about any kind of unsolved things that went on with this, but, like, just imagine, like, these juvenile delinquents, you know, that you're hanging out with. Like, it's just so stupid. And I don't believe, like, I think it's a case-by-case basis with, like, criminal law and stuff, and, like, you know, a lot of people are treated as, you know, or are tried as adults for murder and stuff. That's the thing. Like, people, and, okay, you're going to try a 17-year-old for murder because they had the culpability and the capability of murdering someone, but a 19-year-old woman is groomed because it's an older man. Where's the fucking logic in those two statements? Where the fuck is the logic? It makes no fucking sense. It's like, it's coming from this presupposition that women are infantilized things with no capability or culpability or any fucking, like, agency at all. And like I said, I just told you about all these stories. I had all sorts of stuff. There was actually this girl, this very smart girl. She wasn't like a druggy kind of girl like these other girls were kind of druggies. I'm just being honest. But even though I had a crush on one of these girls that I was just talking about, like, obsessed for a couple years. But then my friend later had his way with her, but whatever. Anyways, she'll never watch this fucking video. Who the fuck knows where she is now? But you know, it's like so the whole thing with this other girl that I heard about, she had this boyfriend that was 20 and she was 15, and she always like wrote like essays about ages just like this guy was, I think he was kind of he was like a poet or some shit, because I was on this BBS, okay. The BBS was the thing before the internet where you talk to people locally and stuff. They had different BBSs. I was on this BBS and this girl was on there, and she'd like write all this stuff about, my boyfriend is 20, but and our parents sort of approve, or I can't even fucking remember. It's like, it was so weird. It was like, it's bizarre, and like she was like really like passionate about this whole situation. I'm just laughing my ass off because I'm remembering all this now. I'm just it's like, it's like, and I don't really necessarily even approve of that. I'm not saying that I do. I'm just saying like the things that I saw around me growing up gave me the conclusion that a lot of this shit is just, a lot of these things are, I'm not saying the Marilyn Manson, this is kind of way off the reservation, but I'm not saying the Marilyn Manson thing's made up, but a lot of this stuff, like these arbitrary ideas that are being pushed, these narratives, if they're not, if there's at least more of a gray area, then a lot of them are bullshit too, because there's no fucking way that you can say these things. I mean, and that's kind of why I think that's why I'm so defensive about it, because I grew up with this kind of shit happening around me, and I'm like, okay, come on. I know that there's culpability on these girls' ends. They were way too smart. This girl that I was talking about, the one that was 15 at the time, and back in the day when I was in high school, I think she was like a year younger than me. And she was totally like a really intelligent, like I think she was like an honor student. She went to this alternative school too, but oh man, it was fucking, I'm doxing people, but no, nobody fucking cares, nobody remembers anyways. But it's like she didn't seem like she would be like someone that would be like totally like out, like I'm just gonna be honest, like not capable of consent. I don't believe that. Now the guy, who knows what the background of the guy was? He was 20 though. I mean, it's not like he was fucking, well, there I go. But he's not like he was 50 or something. It's like, hey, little girl, it wasn't like that. So these situations are not black and white by any means. So this whole thing about fucking rape, I was groomed by Marilyn Manson, even though I was with him for months and didn't complain until 10 years later, and then I did all this stuff. It's just like, it just gets so fucking stupid, and so it's just so ridiculous. It's gotten so ridiculous. And there's part of me that really hopes that Marilyn Manson is innocent, and then he wins, because some of this shit has gotten so insane. Like, oh my God, if I read this article, and it's on my channel. It's from 2014 or something like that. Like, I read this article, this guy, I feel like the power dynamics are weird even with my girlfriend that's 2 years younger. Oh my God. And all this talk about power dynamics. Who the fuck has more power? A hot chick who's a 10, or some fat guy that lives in a fucking 1-bedroom apartment that that talks about all this shit, and who works a job that makes less than $50K a year. Who has more fucking power? I don't care if she's 19 or 20. She probably has more power. She has more power than me. Fuck. Especially if she's like in college for some like ultra great degree or something. It's not like who has power dynamics. Power dynamics. Power dynamics. Power dynamics. I'll give you fucking power dynamics. A fucking fist in your fucking face. You fucking, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna go that far, but I'm being domestically violent. No, I wouldn't. I don't want to talk about punching a woman. I'm just talking about punching bloggers and fucking, punching these idiots. These just, oh my God, they're just so like full of themselves and smug. But that's a little background to why, like, I have a very nuanced point of view with some of this stuff. Like, I've seen all these situations unfold around me, there's other situations I haven't even mentioned that have unfolded around me. I'm not in, I'm not like a person that's like, see, like I know I did my video, but my video is more about like, like a certain bracket that, might be sort of problematic to some people, but not, not as problematic as what, what I'm talking about, obviously. So just because I'm a male who, I think any red-blooded American male usually does like more procreationally advantageous women. It's just the truth. That's what we're attracted to. It's biological. It's part of Matt Ridley or Richard Dawkins. Probably have talked at length about it. Oh, that's problematic because that's like looksism or something, or like